And we're live. Hello.
And we are live. Hello.
Yay. Hello. Hello, guys. Welcome to Usap Tado. We are now in our second episode. This is our chill, revamped podcast where we try to talk all things hobby, at least in the miniature painting space and Ibapa. We'll also have real talk from subject matters that we're experienced with, and just going back to basics, reconnecting with the community, and we're attempting, at least there was an attempt to do it bi-weekly, but looks like monthly na siya. So, tara, usap tayo. We'll
Well, we'll
introduce
still,
ourselves
we'll still try to buy
bi-week.
weekly.
There's a time
Not
when
this
it was
time,
Mother's Day.
Yeah.
There was Mother's Day. There was a couple of days. I
And then
think
we
like if
forgot
we
to pay.
try, yeah, daming days. So it's okay. At least we got back to it, and yeah, I'm excited to for our topic actually. But we'll do some, the usual introductions. I am Mars, Den Mother Place in various TTRPG spaces, and my host here.
Hi, my name is Milo, and you can find me in the World Wide Web under Urban First Sign.
Yeah. And I guess we did the previous introduction last time on how we started with painting. I think it's good we do an introduction at least with the topic we have on our like our rap sheet or portfolio for community building. What about you? How can you say you're a community builder or you've done some community stuff?
Well, okay. So I started painting around I would say 2018, and then shortly after, found another passionate friend, and then we started Philippine Tados, where we have it right now. We're now on our, I think, 8th year. So that's how I started. But I also have started a few online communities, more niche, like Marvel Champions LCG Philippines. That's one of them. Shout out if you are a member. Um, and then obviously on the personal space or live space, I would do some board game communities within the company. That's kind of the communities I make.
That's
How about
awesome.
yourself?
Kamot. like we're the funny thing is like I think there's a couple of like because I'm in the streamer space, right? The content creator space. The first thing that when I go in raid to someone's channel or like the thing after you stream, you go to somewhere else, bring your viewers to another space. The thing that the people, at least the thing that stuck with me a lot with tabletop cinema. Shout out to Mikey. He streams tabletop, and they also do a lot of cinematography with video games. Is that they always tag me as the community builder, just because visually, optics wise, I'm just known as the person that pulls people together. Uy, tara, Magic the Gathering, gawa tayo tourney, or laro tayo ng ganito. Uy, let's do an event. Like right now, there's a collab server, a community server, where just a bunch of creatives. They're sharing their art, they're sharing their writing, they're sharing their brain rot in the same space. And then we just like, hey, you want to do an RP server? You want to play Dune: The Awakening? Do you want to play Subnautica? So it's like different kinds of games where there's a potential for collaboration connected. TTRPG space, I somehow find myself in pockets of spaces where I'm just like, hey, let's all play a game together. I've introduced way too many people to way too many TTRPGs. So I think it's just I'm a community builder just because I'm like, tara, tara tayo. Tara, let's go.
Well,
Just grab
which
people.
is funny because we chose this topic. I would say right now in my state, life state, I don't get to play a lot socially. I mean, face to face. In fact, I would even say I don't get to meet people face to face. So online has been my thing for a few years now. In the small instances I get to play, it's really with very, very close friends. So
Yeah.
they're like my tribe. So I envy you that you can still play your tabletop RPGs. I was telling you earlier that I miss playing Dungeons and Dragons. It's been a while. But yeah,
Yeah,
um, I mean, how we define a community could be anywhere between a tribe of three close knit friends to, hundreds, maybe even thousands of members
exactly.
that you might have. So yeah, I think we can just dive into the topics as before. We break our topic into three subtopics. We can see down below. So we'll start with the
Yeah.
first one: is
The
why
why.
should you make a community?
Yeah,
So
it's
ladies first.
it's interesting that we're starting with the why, the reasons why. I think parang ingrained sa culture natin, or at least in general, just the human experience of wanting to connect to people. Lalo na if it's like you have something that you really like and you just want to go to people and say, in the most basic of levels, hey, I want to show you something I've done. Hey, I want to share to you my passion. That's the general why. But like, I do want to make a distinction with, like, because you can do that with a group of friends. You can do that with like an insular group, parang barkada in a sense, or like yung mga kilala mo that you know in the same. I think the difference between the community is that there's a specific niche for it. Like this is what you guys are known for, and that's what you kind of do the activity that you do all the time. So it's like it's constantly showing up and showing your work. And the why is more of like I think it's just more fun in whether we're like introverts or not. Like I don't go out actually. Funny enough, I don't do physical as much because of health reasons. So online space na ako. Pero marami pa rin ways to do the community on an online space. It's just the aspect that it's way easier to they call it like body doubles now. There's a term for it online, the body doubling, where it's like mas maengganyo ka mag to do the same activity, the same hobby, especially if it's with someone else. Like be it like Magic the Gathering. It you can't play Magic the Gathering just on your own. You need at least one person or a pod, right? You need like a four-man pod, or in a painting sense can be solo, but it's much more satisfying when you can after the work, like you're showing the hard work and you can post it to people that this is what I've been doing the whole week. And it's like, you know that these people can understand your pain. You try to show it to a normie. Sorry to the normie though. Di ba? Parang, ano yan? Ano ginagawa mo? Di ba? Parang, it's easier to share it to somebody na alam mo, ka-level mo. Alam mo na, okay, they're part of the hobby, so they know the pain. It's like, oh, it took this hour to wait for the paint, and mali pala yung paint ko, mali yung spray ko, masyadong malapit. Like, you try to explain that to somebody who has not in the hobby, they're like, okay, edi wow.
I mean, even better, right? You show a finished painting or a miniature with another guy, and he goes, "Dude, this is amazing OSL." Right?
No?
That instant recognition of a difficult technique, or they say, "Oh, this is so big," or this miniature has a lot of details that are difficult, and you're able to pull it through. It's just more satisfying to know that somebody will appreciate it better because they see that they know the intricacies of the hobby,
Yeah.
and that's with regard to painting communities. As to what you said, if it's a normie, they'll say, "Okay, it's great, thank you," and then they'll, But I'm not dissing the normies per se. It's just
Yeah.
that it's fun to have a community. If you feel you're a weirdo because you have a very niche hobby, then you get to be with other weirdos, and then you'll be less feeling ostracized or
Yeah,
alone.
exactly. Yeah, it's like there's just something when it's people that are part of that hobby. It's much easier to explain versus having to go through. Minsan pagod din tayo, like we don't want to explain like what the hobby is. It's like it's easier to just connect. That's the why. It's just easier to do something. It's just easier to collaborate. Uy, baka gusto mo, we can work on this. Insert army set here. Baka naman you can paint one army, no paint the other army. Tulungan tayo. Parang ganon ba? Like, or just the base knowledge of like knowing somebody can relate to your hobby pains, your hobby joys. your hobby tiers, lahat na. And just the little nuances, like the kind of like the community inside jokes, like yung what was that? Yung the mug na people would
Yeah,
accidentally dip their coffee mug, like
your paper
your paint water. Like no one will understand that unless they've been doing the painting.
or licking your brush.
Di ba yung dilaan mo
Um,
for good luck. Yung ganun.
well,
So,
I guess the other reason why one would like to make a community is um, pushing the limits of what you can do with the hobby. So what I mean by that is either elevating your skills or encouraging others to grow the community, to spread the love for the hobby, or even elevate it to the next level. So I think that's one of the things. I mean, no different from say, as you mentioned, Magic the Gathering, right? So you're happy with your pot of four, but if you build a much larger one, it's so that number one, you have stability in terms of getting players, right? Because a pot of four, if one falls off, then it's not the same game if you have three players.
Yeah.
But the other thing is, say in Magic the Gathering, or Pokemon, you want to have a group that you can trade with. So trading as an aspect of that hobby. I guess tabletop role-playing games will be, besides getting new players, is that to rotate roles. So if you're a dungeon master or a game master, you want to rotate sometimes.
You want to be a player.
Or you can rotate systems. You also can rotate systems, right? So one day you're playing Dungeons and Dragons, the next thing is Daggerheart, then Call of Cthulhu, and all the other TTRPGs out there. So it's one of those things. You got to figure out, why do you want to make a community and put it to the next level? Because you're right, you said it very nicely earlier. If it's just to show off a miniature painting, you can do that with your significant other.
Yeah.
Right?
You do that with your
Bonus if your significant other knows the art or the hobby.
Yeah.
But if she or he doesn't know, then it's kind of like hitting they'll give you the obligatory, oh, that's nice.
Like, please, there's more to this.
That's true. Okay. Well, how about you? I mean, let's dig in deeper, Mars. When you build a community, why did you make some of the communities you made? I think that's the question.
The why? Oh my god. I guess it goes back to, God, I think it's more of a personal thing because initially, you make a group with the same-minded people, right? And then life happens. The pillar of the community has what do you call this? A family, hindi na sila makasali sa community, or they pass away. So it's like there's like layers to that, in which the way I built the community is like I don't want it to just be like a barcada thing. I want people to grow in it. So like in the essence of it, I want same values. As kind of like a safe space. Like safe space, such a buzzword though. I hate the way that it's a buzzword. It's like and safe space doesn't mean everyone's welcome to it. It's like this specific space. You've actually listed it on your thing, where it's like it has a certain set of rules. There's ground rules in this space to be part of that space. If we are not in the fact, it's already screening. It's so weird to say screening, but it's like it's an initial screening, finding the same like-minded people who vibe with the ground rules. Na parang, this is how we operate things. We have like this particular way of like, we're very respectful of people's boundaries. We try not to get too personal. There's no, the language that we use is something that's more encouraging, not criticizing. Something to build people up. Those kinds of things. If you can share that values, good. If not, it's okay. Doors open. We have an open door policy. I'm just like, when you meet people with different backgrounds, may iba silang timpla, in a sense. They have a different way of talking. They have a different way of hanging out with people, and some personalities don't work together, even if it's the same hobby. So it's like, for me, I don't want the complacency. There's this thing I avoid in some spaces, the pakikisama. Allowing that certain personalities to be part of that space. It doesn't help the community grow. Parang, oh, you're the one that tries to steal the spotlight, or the one that griefs about a game, or parang they're very rigid in how certain way go. Oh, this is how you should do the hobby. This is how you should. That's why there's an initial screening. Na parang you put it up front what the rules are. Like, we're friends here, but there's also we put ourselves to a standard that this isn't just like a normal barcada. There's a higher level of, we're bringing more people here. We're allowing strangers to become friends. It becomes it like, I want to avoid the insularity. That's the thing I want. People confuse community with groups of friends. Na parang, oh, community kami, pero closed doors pala sila, tapos sa kanya-kanyang inside joke na parang hindi makarelate ang bagong pasok. Like, you want the community to be as welcome as possible.
Right.
The barrier of entry is the hobby itself, is that love for the game, is that love for the thing that they're the activity that they set aside every weekend to do. You don't want that to be taken over by a cult of personality or somebody na parang pabida. It's supposed to be a thing where you get to enjoy it collectively, and then like learn and get better skill sets. It makes you want to read more things. It makes you want to showcase more creativity. So it's like, it's more than just a
Yes.
friend group.
I think I like that you had to make a distinction between community and a group of friends, because a community has friends. For example, if you have a friend and they're like your high school friends or college friends or work friends, or even friends in another group, and then you became friends, right? There's a bit of you can forgive them for some of the things they do and the quirks they have, because they've been your friends for a while.
Yeah.
But in a community, there's a bit of two things. One, you're right. It's more than just the total or the sum of the people there. It in its own has its personality as a community, right? And then if there's somebody who's not in drive with the rest of the community can decide to either kick the person out or ignore him or her completely. And nobody is forced to, oh, you have to, say sorry because we're friends. No, I mean, if you made a blatant, statement, then there are repercussions, because the community has to watch out for itself and making sure it's a safe space for everybody. Which is kind of like we're traversing towards the third, just a distinction, but we're still in the why of a community. It's very important for us to start, because I think you hit a very interesting point, which is you're wanting to join with other people who have similar, I wouldn't say the same, similar set of values or principles with regard to the hobby that you're creating community for.
Yeah.
Right? Because a community of scuba divers, for example, is completely different from a community of war gamers, or dancers, or watch aficionados, right? These are completely different. But say, for example, in scuba diving, you can have a group of friends, and you just keep on diving. But a community itself is now pushing it to the next level. All right, guys, let's make a tournament for photo diving, for example, or let's elevate our skills from going to a certain depth. We go, okay, let's go advanced diving, let's go night diving, let's go, more complex stuff. And the same goes to our hobby, right? Because if it's just a group of friends, I could just show you, here's what I did, and then great. Right? But with a community, we now have contests. Which, by the way, thank you for the three participants who entered their miniatures for our April contest, and we have a May contest coming up soon. Hopefully, more will enter that contest. It's a shameless plug for our fellow
Yeah.
admin Berlin.
Yeah, Berlin, thank you. Yeah, so it's a good why. I think the the one thing I learned, it's probably gonna be um, talking about the maintain part. It's gonna touch a little bit, but a good knowledge, like good wisdom that I got from a good friend of mine who we really shared the same views when it was like setting up a D&D community in Davao. Rest in peace, Jasper. Like we were vibes. Like when you find someone you align with, like oh, you're gonna want more. The pushing that you mentioned, and one of the things he said is it's really you really want somebody to like be in that same page to help push it because like it's always going to be more in a sense of you want this to be more social civic. You want it to go outside of your group, that it influences everywhere. Like people will want to pick up Dungeons and Dragons, or people want to pick up minis. People would want to be part of that hobby. It's not closed off. The key word is I don't want the hobby to be a closed off thing. It becomes an open thing that people can participate in when we make it accessible. Because in a group, it's just kanya-kanya mo your own pace and stuff. But in a community space, it's like, you want to try this thing? Here's the barrier of entry. Here's the things you need. You become that educator or that kind of source of information for them to get in. And you show how easy it can be to get in. I want to be that community. I want to be that openness. But, uy, try mo to. It's not hard. It's not spooky. It's not daunting as it looks from the outside. It's actually if you just try these small things. So I think that's what the community should nurture. That it's easy to get into. You can find people you can connect with to push yourself in that space.
But the downside is if you're the founder or if you're the one who wants to find or start the community, you just have to understand there is a level of responsibility. You can't make a monster and not take care of it.
Exactly.
So if you're willing, and this is really speaking to people who would like to start a community, whatever hobby community that is you have to find yourself and say, okay, I want to elevate to the next level. But if you just want to have somebody to hang around, play with, or exchange notes, then that's really just a group of friends, right? Because setting up a community, especially a community that welcomes more people, will require a bit of work.
Yes. It's like you're cultivating that relationship. You're cultivating their like we'll get through the maintaining part, but it's like you don't just get them in and that's it. There's hindi lang onboarding. There's still the retainment, as they would say in like the corpo space. May process yan. You don't just let them go after onboarding.
Yeah,
So,
but before we go into maintaining, shall we go into how to make the community?
yeah. Oh yeah, the baselines.
Unless somebody has made some comments.
No, not so far, but you guys can definitely give your whys down the line.
Okay. Yeah. So how do we make a community? Maybe for this one I'll start.
Yeah.
First of all, and maybe I'll speak as, I guess my most successful community would be Philippine Tadas. It's currently sitting at a little, I think 3,100 members. And it's been 8 years and it's still, I would say, going steady. First and foremost is find a partner. We've talked about that earlier. And in this case, I found my co-founder, Josh, who was also my teacher when he had a miniature painting workshop. So as my teacher, I was sending him some of my works after the session, right? Oh, Josh, what do you think can I improve here, etc., etc. And then we got to, I don't know how it went, but I guess I asked him, is there a Facebook group wherein people can put up a miniature and comment and get some constructive feedback from other painters. Um, and I can see other styles. I have some links and leads on other miniatures. So it got to that. And Josh was saying there are some that are very centric to specific games. Like Warhammer would have its own, Dungeons and Dragons would have its own, Gunpla has its own, and then maybe the most system agnostic community was IPMS, or International Plastic Modelers Society, I believe.
Yeah.
So, and he said there's nothing specifically for painting for wargaming or Dungeons and Dragons, tabletop games in general.
Yeah.
So we started off and say, okay, but before we did so, we had to exchange notes about what do you want to get out of it, what do you want to see what happen. Again, if this is now going beyond two guys sharing projects and saying, what else can we do, right?
Yeah.
That goes about, well, we gotta localize painting, we gotta normalize it for people, we gotta lead people to where to find paints, tools, miniatures, and I think that's how it all started. And the last thing that we had to do, and this was deliberate, was to agree on what will be the house rules, because we needed to put some boundaries as to what would be acceptable, what would not be acceptable in the community, and that's how we all started. And then next thing you know, we put up we put up the page, and I think in less than a day we had 500 members. By the next week, we have about close to 1,000 members. So for something so small, we were really happy. I would love to see it grow much bigger than what it is currently. And so if you can spread the word for some of those listeners right now, if you can spread the word, because there are more and more people getting into the hobby and painting, then please usher them to Philippine Tados. Right?
Yeah.
How about you, Mars? How did you start up some of the community?
Like, it's interesting how you gave the lore of like Tados, which is always fun to hear about, like how you and Josh started. Like, I think it's the first thing is like, if you find that someone and then you guys brainstorm on like the best space to approach. I think we're more used to digital space. Dati, the old school style of like when we did the D&D was finding a public space to host us, but that's also tricky. It's a double-edged sword. Yung magpunta ka ng cafe, dala ka ng libro. Kasi like, you don't know if the cafe person would be open to having a bunch of people sitting there for hours to play games, diba? So it's like finding that space is number one. San kayo mag-connect? Sa bahay ba ng one of the members, rotating ba, or is it in the cafe? In the digital space, it's more of saan yung comfort zone ng mga members mo? Is it Discord? Is it Facebook groups? Is it funny enough, there was like Reddit. I haven't explored Reddit, but there's like spaces like Reddit that do that.
Yeah.
People so far gravitate towards like one of the tools so far is Discord has been a way to get people to like work together, have their cameras on, and or like have no cameras on and still do some collaboration, do some co-working together. So first is the space, establishing the space. So physical space, I think it's getting harder now, no, to do like the physical space because like the funny, well, I say it's funny, but it's like people keep bringing up kasi the price of gas. The economy is not letting us do it physically. Like I think the push a lot for communities right now is digital. Unfortunate, but like there are still spaces that do physical. I believe like cons and cafes.
Funny enough, Mars. I think about 2 months ago, I saw a video about a gentleman in the UK creating this room that's meant for wargamers, and he invited a lot of other men because his intention for wargaming is the intention to address men's mental health, which was apparently is an issue in some communities, right? And so I got into that, and I almost started that as well with another friend. But after maybe a month of exchanging information, ideas, and also doing some research, we both realized that today, at least for Metro Manila, there are more hobby spaces than ever, even before the pandemic. We have more. Yes, true enough, there have been those that have closed down, but there are new ones that are popping up that are specifically for tabletop gaming. And in addition to that, restaurants, coffee shops are more, I guess, tolerating or forgiving for people if you play there, as long as you don't, make too much of a noise. But there are specialty coffee shops that are welcoming, the noisy type of players because it gives them not only revenue, but it makes the space more alive, right? I I'm gonna sound old on this one. I remember the day when I would play with my brother in a coffee shop, and then the manager or the guard sometimes would come to us and say, "Sir, you can't gamble here."
Oh
I was
shit!
like,
Yeah.
"We're not gambling. It's a card game." No, sir, I can see playing cards. These are not playing cards. Well, yes, these are playing cards, but not playing cards. It was so hard to explain, all the way to the manager.
Yeah. The
We would
disconnect.
always be booted out, and it's common back then. But today, it's more welcome, and
Oh,
I
that's
think we
yeah.
should rejoice. We should rejoice in that. Now,
Yeah.
going back to your point, there are now much easier spaces. I guess if you have a niche, it's easy to go an LGS or local gaming shop and ask, is there a tournament or a schedule for this game, right? If none, then you can say, can I host and schedule one? And I think some of them are more than happy to do so because obviously that draws in more people. Yeah. So I'm rejoicing the fact that while digitally there's a space, as you've said, but in the live space, Metro Manila has gaming shops I think ever before.
Yeah. I envy that. It's like here's a fun like this is a little caveat because like I had a conversation with Matt from RPG Cebu. Hello, there you are, Matt. Matt from RPG Cebu. I went to Cebu with my husband for a wedding, and it was like having to talk about the space. Like I'm envious of Metro Manila as somebody who lives in Davao because of like how much spaces there are for you guys to play. There's always pockets of people. But even if it's iba-iba na spaces like in Pasig, Las Piñas, the South,
Yes.
Molito, but there's always a place to play. The struggle, especially in Cebu, is like because the areas are hard to reach. Like you have to travel to get to a certain location. It'll take an hour or two just to get from Mactan to IT Park and all of that. Like it makes the physical meetups are difficult unless you live in the same space.
Yeah.
So same with Davao, it's that kind of distance. Like I live in like a mountainish area, and then like going downtown takes 30 minutes to an hour. So like the sacrifice to have to travel versus like there's so many pockets. Like, there's still traffic in Manila, but the fact that there's just accessibility of there's gonna be a cafe for people to hang out in that one space, and another space, and another space, and another space. Um, that definitely is like something I wish for more. Like there would be more physical spaces that make it easy to like get that community built going. Because I think that's one of the struggles for like the cities outside of Metro
I,
Manila.
I,
It's that,
I, I think there are three things why that is being hard for non-metro areas.
yeah,
Number one is, to your point, available hobby spaces,
yeah,
whether it's in gaming or miniature painting. Second would be the availability of hobby tools or the accessories to your hobbies. Like if there's no one that sells, say, miniatures or paint bottles, then it will be difficult.
Yeah.
Although there's now online options, so this is much easier. Um,
Right.
but the third one, I think, and this is something is, I think a lot of the in because I grew up in the province as well, so
Yeah.
I know the feeling of how strong the group of friends are. You would normally play in somebody else's house
Yeah.
or backyard, right? And that's where we go back to our conversation about a group of friends versus a community.
Yeah.
Because for people like you who may not have that group of friends for a particular hobby and you want to look for one, then where do you go, right? And
Yeah.
the automatic approach is
Interesting.
you go to the shop and hopefully you bump into somebody who's friendly enough
Yeah.
friendly enough to strike a conversation and friendlier enough to say let's meet up and hobby together.
Yeah. The thing as well, I think, is also in like I'm thankful because of like the Metro Manila space and a lot of like the TTRPG peeps in the spaces in Metro Manila, like made it made it easier for like the digital space. I think breaks through a lot of the problems that Davao and Cebu would have. Like mostly marami ng online. Like
Yes.
it's just easier versus having to travel to another area of the city. Like I know Cebu's like it's big, but also it's just hard to get to certain areas. Like you would
Yep.
spend so much on taxi or angkas just to play a game. So like that deters a lot of the bonding of like, sige, online na lang tayo, which is good. Like that's the upside of, I guess, the COVID situation, the COVID era, and like the digital space and Discord just making things a lot accessible. Because as much as we want to go to the nearest cafe, Nayo. As much as we want to like meet up with a friend, they live in some 2 hours away. So and also the biggest things they brought up as well is not a lot of people want to step up. I think people know the distinction of community space. They don't want to step up to for that responsibility. Pinakamahirap. The how to build it is you need people who are willing to take that responsibility to run a community because it's not
Right.
easy
Well,
to take that.
here's one of the simple steps I could suggest, right?
Yeah.
Let's say you and a friend or friends are playing a game, whether it's a Dungeons and Dragons tabletop or a war game or Magic the Gathering or card game, right? And you get into to the rhythm of playing, right? Here comes a young kid, walks next to you, and is just curious. I mean, the visuals of the games we play are amazing, right? And the antics that we have, the laughs that we have are genuine. So when they come over, they're genuinely curious. Now, don't just ignore them and say, "Hey, would you like to try?
Yeah.
Would you like? Do you have any questions? Maybe, right? I mean, come here, sit down if you want to just watch and observe because we're in a game. But I can't talk to you completely. But you're feel free to ask what
Speculate.
this that means. What and in that moment you gotta be patient because in that moment your gaming time will be stretched a bit because there's a bit of the getting to know you phase, but also explaining some of the rules. Like, say for example, you go, "Oh, let me explain to you that stat. That is, oh, do you now understand why I had to do this and do that? Okay, great.
Yeah.
So, hey, do you want to try the next round, right? And that's kind of like the simplest step of you were saying, being brave enough to be open, being brave enough to go back to basics. We got to slow down a bit for the new ones to come in, right?
Yeah.
And feel welcome. So I think those are the stuff that you can do. But yeah, but I also think you put it nicely, the digital space. A lot of the first things that you need to do to make a community has been enabled by the digital space.
Yes.
For example, you look for a group that loves tabletop RPGs. and then you start a conversation with somebody, or you make a comment in one post, somebody responds to it, you have a banter in a constructive way, and then you have a friend, and you can say, hey, even then you can even have, like I said, the story with Philippine Tados. Josh and I didn't speak face to face. We just went back and forth via chat messages, and
Yeah.
in a way, we were able to build a community by just being digitally meeting.
Yeah. It's definitely like the social media space and Discord has just made it easier for people to connect. Like there's still constant posts like in D&D Philippines and stuff like, hey, I'm a newbie. I live in insert Manila area, and is anyone willing to adopt? And I'm happy for the particular groups that, hey, we got open tables, come on in. I think um, I forgot the name of Rich's group in Molito. Like they run tables every day. So it's just that there's one thing to have the space, but also like opportunities for people to engage in the hobby. So like in TTRPGs, to open tables. Hey, you want to
Yeah,
try the game? That's one thing you want to do is uh, give those opportunities for them to come in. Like, hey, we're doing a we're doing like a paint sesh. Like, you want to come join? Like, it's always that extending the hand to a stranger or somebody who is yet to be part of your community. It's always taking that risk. And
right.
and again, like what you mentioned, having the house rules or like making sure that your values are put in place. One of the things actually I want to bring up is I just saw the like I just remembered the Billy Pintadas community has objectives. It's three. It's simple: connect, share, learn. Done. And like I done the same, similar to like Motherload Studios, the collab space that I'm helping with, where it's there is three values for it. It's like connect, collaborate, create. It's like let them know what your objectives are. Let them know what your intentions are. Like this is how. Do you have the same values you broadcast it? So they know what
Yeah.
they're getting into. And then again,
Well,
opportunities for them to connect.
and I guess we making a community is often being directed to the founders of the community or the tribe elders, right? But half of the success of the community will be also be the members. So I
Yes.
myself is a member in other communities. I'm not the lead guy there. I'm a participant. So the most basic that you can ever do is not to shoot down any ideas or be toxic, right? That's the basic minimum you can do. Let let the leaders or the founders do what they want to do. If you don't like it, shut up. Don't participate. You're not forced to anyway, right? Um, and don't don't be toxic in that. That's the bare minimum. Now, if you
Yeah.
go beyond that point, then it becomes be participative, right? I
Yeah.
mean, join in. If they have a poll, answer the poll because surveys and polls is something that we determine. Okay, are we going to do the right thing for our market or for our audience? Then we need to do a survey. If nobody answers the survey, it's so hard to double guess what the community would like to do. So, in as much as you can, just answer some of the questions and curiosity. For digital spaces, comment, like, be active in face to face in as much as you can. Attend, join. If there are any fundraisings, obviously fundraisers are something. But I'm leaning towards the third one. Sorry, but I guess a community is made up of its founders slash elders, so to speak, but also 90% is made
The
out of the
members.
members.
Exactly. And the section of it is like yes, the members can be friends. The members can be the people you know, but they're aware of the fact that there is a goal and there's like this isn't just typical tambayan or barkada moment. It's literally you're here to do more than that. There's always a more aspect, more than the game, more than um, just hanging out. It's like you're sharing moments together. You're building, you're learning something from the skill set. You're making new connections at the most part. So it's like,
Well, speaking of that, we now venture into how to maintain the community.
yeah.
Because a lot of things that we have been now saying the last, I guess, 5 minutes is how do we build, now that you've started or the community has started, how do we maintain that? And sometimes it's much harder to maintain a community than starting. It's easy to just click, make a page, that's it.
Yeah.
It's easy to make a tournament, that's it. To maintain it, and when I say maintain it, it's the cadence, it's the frequency, it's the growth of number of members, it's the growth of the members' skills, or even their personal developments, if you will. Any tips on that, Mars?
I think you touched on it a little bit, and I kind of held back on expounding on it because like, I want to save it for this one. We kept sharing about having similar values, having like this is what was instilled to me. Like a lot of the community knowledge that I have was I picked it up from like just being on the ground zero and like being with somebody who was really passionate about the community space, which was Jasper. So one of the things he instilled upon me when when we're trying to build up the D&D stuff is don't make it na ikaw lang ang nag-iisa na with that value. Make sure may core group ka. Like there's people na pwede mo i-pass down yung kasi at some point you're gonna have different priorities. You're gonna have your own family. You're gonna have your own like other aspects of life. You're not gonna be as active as you are right now at this point in time, and you don't want the community to die with you the moment it stops. And that's like the recurring message that I got from like like when you go join a school club, diba, like there's like lower years that would join that club that would eventually take over. So one of the things to maintain it is like the community will last longer if you set up like prepare for it na hindi lahat ng trabaho mahulog sa'yo. I think that's a common problem for a lot of community spaces where it's like the founders remain there, which is good, but like wala silang pinasa. Hindi didn't pass the torch. It ends up becoming a cult of personality. And it just is this one guy who runs this space and he never let any core group in. Siya lang. And that's how a lot of communities kind of peter off because it got to the point where, especially some members, they're proactive in the activities, yes, but if you're not giving them opportunities to step up and be like, hey, I could probably take a few responsibilities here and there. You don't have to actually give them big things. It's just for them to cultivate that kind of value and responsibility that I can help run the community beyond the baseline. Beyond just like me benefiting from the community, I can help the community. I can help in the sense of one of the things that I learned in that is like there's this player na constantly nag-iimbita siya ng mga tao. Then eventually he became a dungeon master. Kinuha for the core group to be like, hey, you want to help run events? Do you want to help get more people? So na-establish sila because they were already active members from the get-go, and you give them a little bit more responsibility, a little bit of that. Prestige is a long word. It's a wrong word, but they are now, they know that there's a weight in what they do for the community.
There's a sense of ownership now.
Yeah. So what I'm doing now is going towards the community. Same with the collab space that I have. So it's slightly different for content creators. So content creators, when you're doing your collabs, there would be some people with similar mindset, like, hey, there's this new game we can try. Hey, let's do a watch party. Hey, let's play a game together and stream it together. You see that person buy, and like if people ask, hey, where can I place my art? Hey, where can I show off my stuff? And then they point to the right direction. It's those active members that be like, okay, this can be the people's. These can be my people's. I can ask help to run the community. Dapat di mo isolo. I think
Yeah.
it's also like a problem for especially me, like in the earlier days of the communities I was a part of like dapat ako lahat, hindi ko na sila problemahin. They have their own lives, they're doing school, they have family. No, like you're not alone. Dapat you can
And
ask.
that's the reason why in Philippine Tados we got you, right? I mean, back then it was just me and Josh. Then
Yeah.
we added Louis, and then after Louis we added at the time Wilson, and then Mars. You were also the same time with
Yeah.
Wilson. Hi Wilson.
Yeah.
And then we added later on Kaizen,
Yes.
and then we now have Berlin, right?
Yes.
Because right now Wilson has to leave, and at the moment Josh is on a hiatus, right? Hibernation mode, right?
Hibernation.
And to your point, it's because we realized early on that we cannot maintain it ourselves. But more than that, we also recognize we don't have all the best ideas. So I remember, and this is a bit of a sharing for you, you may not know this, when we were choosing the admin number 4 and 5, we deliberately had to choose people who are not the same as me, Louis and Josh. We had to choose.
Okay.
So, for example, like we had to say, okay, we gotta find a female in the group because we're all guys here.
Yeah.
Second, we said, okay, let's find people who have different hobbies. And I think you were so heavy on tabletop RPG at the
Still
time.
am.
Still are. And then Wilson was in Gunpla
Yeah.
because we realized that Gunpla is also another painting group, right? So we had that thinking, and it, to a certain extent, it was difficult, but it also was refreshing to hear thoughts. I remember you and I had conversations as admins about certain matters, and we would be in a complete different spectrum, right?
Yeah.
So to a certain, if somebody was passing by that chat, they might say that Milo and Mars were fighting.
It was just different perspectives, and it was good actually. That for me, I'm glad we were in an echo chamber. There was differing opinions. There was different counsel. I did appreciate the fact that even if we were like we did not see eye to eye in the same things, we still came to the conclusion of like that's the thing about finding the same people because the goal was just to make sure that the community space was safe. The community was still welcoming. We still kept to the values of what we place in the house rules. We still like at the end of the day we were trying to meet that goal. So it was good that there was differing opinions. And actually that's the thing I appreciate as well with some of the spaces I have. I really don't want echo chambers kasi that becomes dun lumalaki yung ulo ng isang tao na parang, oh, you're doing so well. No, there's things to improve in this space. I can be wrong in some opinions. I can have a certain perspective because that's how I see a certain way and not seeing the different lived experience of the other person. So it's like, it opens your eyes. There's the initial human reaction of, ano ba yan? Bakit? You know, the pagka, oh, this is my view, but when you see like, okay, we're trying to get towards the same goal, like the level of maturity that, like, we're all adults. I think if this was in a different space, if we were not the people we were, like we would like, I'll leave this community. No, it's just like we wanted this community to succeed, so we had to have tough conversations.
Which is another.
It's a good way to maintain it. Another good thing to maintain the community is being able to have the tough conversations when shit happens. It's like you have to be the one to. It will get to a point where the community is going great, but there's gonna be some people with certain behaviors. Like they're great people, but tangina naman. Like they have this certain behavior.
Sorry. We should have a bleep in this podcast.
Bleep. The frustrations of it's going so smoothly, but that one behavior, like nakasira ng vibe ba. So like, and you can't be complacent and the Bisaya of pasagdi, pabayaan. We can't do that.
Yeah.
Pasagdi,
so
no.
One of the things I remember that Josh and I agreed, it's not in our rules, but it's as an admin rule, is that if there's a brewing toxicity, we have to nip it in the bud. Don't let it fester.
Yes.
And so, but in order to address it as well, we made it sure. And I practice this with my child. I practice it with my teammates at work. I would praise publicly, but I will reprimand privately. So when there are difficult conversations, like say for example, you don't like how a person acted, don't call him out or call her out while everybody's there, because the ego will kick in and the defense mechanism is to fight back. But you go and say, hey, can we step aside for a while? I'd like to talk to you. Right? And I guess I'm the one who always have these these difficult conversations with difficult members. But I would say, like first, hey, I know you mean well, right? But I hope you understand we're trying to maintain this in the community. So is it okay if blank, 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 right? And by the way, I still would hope to see you active despite this incident. And I would say 8 out of 10, I've been lucky. They were mature and they saw the maturity of the conversation. But 2 out of 10 are just childish, they're just brats. So I said, good. I said, bro, if this community is not for you, you're more than welcome to just leave.
Yeah,
because
open door policies are great. Like I learned that language from Toby Abad, who's also like a TTRPG space person, also a game designer, board games. It's the law of detachment. It's not because we don't care about the person, but it's knowing that if they leave, it doesn't affect us. Like the community is still gonna be here. If you leave, you leave. No hard feelings. We didn't vibe. The play style didn't connect. Timelines weren't aligning. You're in a bad mood. Totally fine. I'm not gonna take it out on you personally. If you take it personally, that is outside of my scope already. At least we put it there that the door is open. It's fine. And I think one of the things to help maintain the community is conflict resolution skills. Just knowing how to resolve conflicts quickly and just knowing how to have that conversation. Because like if you meet someone in their emotional state, that's not going to resolve anything. You have to be at a level of knowing how to temper, or knowing how to act when a conflict arises. So it's like, all right, give them time to cool off. What happened? Get the story.
I lost my audio. Sorry.
Oh shit! Sorry. It's okay.
It's okay. But I heard you in the background.
Yeah. So, but basically, that's more or less conflict resolutions, knowing how to handle tough conversations, because like a lot of the parts that come with the community is dealing with a lot of differing backgrounds, different sensitivities, and I say this with love and because the word's misconstrued. Maraming taong neurotic in a sense of they have the inability to handle stress. They have the inability to handle conversations. So the word neurotic comes from the space of they cannot handle stress. They cannot handle certain emotions, so they're reactive. So that doesn't make them a bad person if they're neurotic. It's just a lot of people in this world are very neurotic. They have many reasons why they can't handle anger. They can't handle being confronted. They can't handle different things, and knowing how to at least baseline handle those types of people and how to mitigate it to avoid affecting the community, that's a skill set you need to maintain it, because one wrong move of one wrong behavior, wala na, the community is gone because of one action. It's a ripple effect.
Well, I would like to switch the tone from making a community or maintaining a community difficult to something more fun.
Yeah.
So one of the things that I would suggest for a community to thrive is what I would call rituals.
Yeah.
I'm not talking about sacrificing a goat or chicken, unless you're that kind of community. But I'm talking about um, small stuff, right? So an example would be a weekly thing, right? A weekly meetup. For example, a logo, a T-shirt. That's kind of like a ritual dish. So if you notice, we have a logo here, and I'd like to give a shout out to the one who made it, which is Angelo Jex Villandoya, because he made that with no money involved. And he just says, just recognize that I made that logo, which is I'm happy with. So it's one of these small things. In fact, let me share you a story. So our title is Usap Tado.
Yeah.
Tado, in the most normal Filipino conversation, is actually a derogatory term, right? Because it's short for tarantado.
Yeah.
And you can dig it in the post in Philippine Tados. Tado, when we said, do we call ourselves something? Like, as you can say, how do I say it? Like, for example, critical role followers or fans are critters, right?
Yeah.
So we were saying, okay, do we have a name for ourselves? And the community was the one who made that suggestion. I think 2 or 3 guys in the same chat stream said, oh, how about Tado, short for Philippine Tado? And then I, being the adult, was like, oh no, this is gonna raise some eyebrows and people will not like it because of the derogatory nature of that term. But it caught on. And I'm going like, hey, if that's what you guys want to call each other, fine. We're now Tados moving forward. So, and that was the fun part. So part of the ritual is recognizing when the community wants it. They're chanting for it, right?
Yeah.
And so you, as the admin or the elder, go, fine, let's do it. If that's what people want. So
Yeah.
now if I switch it to other hobbies like tabletop RPGs, right? You want to play, for argument's sake, Call of Cthulhu, but all of your players want Daggerheart. Are you gonna push for Call of Cthulhu RPG? Not that it's a bad one, by the way, it's a great game.
Yeah.
But if the people of your community want something, then go with it, right? Other rituals for us, we have some, and that's why we're trying this year to bring back some of the rituals, such as the painting contests.
Yeah.
We have the weekly with Wednesdays and finish the Fridays. So we had to make some of these rituals because we're creatures of behavior. Was it behavior, or there's a term for that? Oh no, we're creatures of habit.
Creatures of habit. Yeah.
Right. So if it's every blank you do this, then that's just okay. And I have a feeling there was a time we were at the lull in Philippine Tados. If Louis did not continue posting with Wednesdays and finish the Fridays, we would lose our identity and we would have a natural death. For a while, I would say it kept us alive, and it's keeping us alive. So when you have a community, find your rituals. I think that's my suggestion.
Yeah, valid. Because like what you mentioned, like I do agree to a couple points. We have the same like connection of like letting the members shape the community, and I think the Tado term was owned. Like I think we made it our own thing. So it's like it's not the derogatory term anymore. It is Tados as Tados intended it to be.
There's a funny story. Yeah. There's a funny story. One member, he told me this. He was walking, he was commuting, and he was wearing the Philippine Tado shirt. Some guy went to him and say, "Uy, Tado ka!" He got it. And they were able to talk to each other about that. And then I can only imagine the rest of the people going like, "That guy just cursed the other guy."
They're
laughing. which is part of the ritual. Like you have your own language.
Yes,
When you get to that
exactly.
point, I think you've hit the success of your community, if you will, or
Yeah,
that's a milestone for the community when people are
yeah.
laughing. I like my one of my current uh, regular groups is
Okay.
because he saw me in the condominium lobby, and he went up to me and say, "Hey, I'm a member of Philippine Tados. I'm a Tado as well." And then friendship bloomed after that.
Yeah. Um, there's also like what you mentioned, like having activities and rituals. In my community, we call it brain rot. But I know brain rot has like like the young kids and their terms. I'm like old. Oh my god!
I
I
have I
didn't
have a
expect.
daughter. I know.
But our brain rot is more of like we get so into the creative process that we literally brain rot. Like we will spend hours to do this art, or we will all like while we're working, we're thinking about the next character we want to write about, or the next art style that we want to do. So it's like and being able to instill that kind of drive to create or do that, like being wanting to do things with the community, I think that's how you maintain it. Just that spark of like, I want to do this here, I want to show this thing here, I want to read more about, like in this case it was a TTRPGs. I got people into Vampire the Masquerade,
Oh, nice.
and the fact that they started reading the wiki as a brain rot. They started reading the entire thing of like they went to the wiki. They have 30 plus tabs. And then they were thinking about it at work of like, oh, the different kind of political faction with how the Camarilla works, how the Anarch works. Like you've done your job. If there's an open tab in their brain thinking about that hobby, like it fuels them, especially on the day to day. You have to go to work, you have to go to school, you have to do like the routines that you don't like, but there's something that keeps you alive. So like maintaining that community and maintaining that spark and just letting them run with it. I think that's how you maintain it. It's like just encouraging that spark. Like, oh, what is it that interests you? Oh, you mentioned your character. Oh, you have this like, even if you get obsessed with MTG, what set do you like? What kind of cards do you want to get? Like it's just always encouraging that flames, like finding a way to stoke the flames every now and then.
Yeah,
Having
and I
nice
remember, and
challenges.
uh, I've been in the hobby, like I keep on mentioning, about 8 years now.
Yeah,
So it feels like sorry, 9 years. I started 2017.
yeah,
So it makes me go through my week. What I mean by that is, so travel. Sorry, you've got work, you've got business travel, you've got difficult meetings, etc., etc. It feels like the grind. You've got chores when you go home, but it feels so good that to think, oh, on Friday night or Saturday night, I have this miniature that I'm gonna paint, or I have this
yeah,
tabletop RPG that I'm gonna play with, or I have Warhammer with my friends, or Magic the Gathering with my friends. Any community is something that will make you go through the difficulties of life, necessary difficulties in life, but make it a little bit more fun, I guess.
yeah,
So I always look forward, and sometimes even if I have a difficult day, like I have days with 10 or 11 meetings for the whole day, I go and say that's fine. I'm gonna have D&D on Friday.
yeah, exactly. Like there's always something to look forward to. If you get to the point where people are looking forward to the weekend, looking forward to game night, looking forward to doing a writing set about their character, or picking up a paintbrush, like you did your job. Like we did it on like just being that source of inspiration for people to keep going. So
Yeah.
yeah,
And
that's
speaking of doing our job, I think that we are now close to our end times.
yes. Yes, I think just what are your takeaways? Like 3 points to summarize what we talked about and how to build a hobby community. From all the things you talked, what are the key takeaways that you want to take
Well,
with
I
you?
really like that you differentiated community and group of friends. That a community is to grow beyond its members, something much higher, the next level. Rituals, I believe rituals will keep a community going,
Yeah.
um, and hard conversations, or especially if you're the admin or the elder or the founder, there will be times that will be hard, but you'll
Yes.
need to find other passionate folks to steer the boat.
Yeah. Exactly. I think same key points. Just to close it, like yeah, same key points. I'm glad like we're kind of like same wavelength. We got there. Lots of tangents, but at the end of the day, you will find your people, and having um like having those set ground rules will help you. And digital is the way at the moment. Just to make sure that your community is a way for people to get into the hobby that you're passionate about. It's not just a way for hanging out is one thing, connecting is one thing, but there's also like them being able to get into the hobby, welcoming strangers, and just making it accessible for people.
Yeah, I mean, hopefully, you find your tribe,
Yeah, find the
and
tribe.
that tribe is gonna, hopefully that tribe becomes family at some point.
Yeah, exactly.
And with that, Mars, what's gonna be our next topic for the
We,
next episode?
the next topic could be mini painting as an identity or return to basics. We kept talking about returning to basics, pulling back, and letting the newbie. So it's a toss up between that mini painting as an identity or returning to basics. What are the tools you need to get back into painting? Which is good because like I think it's serendipitous. I passed by the mall the other day. There was like a new store that opened up, and you know what I saw? Rows and rows of paintbrushes. It's like God's
Ooh,
telling me like, hoy, hoy, minis mo.
that's your sign. That's your sign.
That's the sign to pick up a paintbrush. So I think it'd be good to go through just the basic tools. Those are the toss ups. We can actually put it up as a poll. You know what they'd like
Yeah.
as the next episode.
Okay. Yeah, that's a great idea. Let's make a poll. So watch out for the poll if you're still watching this before that episode.
Yes.
Until
Yes.
then, all we have to say is
Halapit
halapinta.
na. Almost.
Almost. Okay.
Yes.
All right.
Thank you guys.
So long.
Cheers. Bye. And